オセアニア州に属するフィジー諸島からなるフィジー共和国。日付変更線があり、世界で一番早く一日をスタートする国の一つフィジーには、ゆっくりのんびりした時間が流れています。フィジーの文化に触れる旅へ一緒に出かけてみましょう。
Konnichiwa. A very warm welcome to everyone. Thank you for joining us online. My name is Afia Shamim and I work as the Communications and Gender Coordinator at the Fiji Roads Authority. Subula is the Fijian greeting for hello or welcome. Just briefly about Fiji's geographical location. Fiji is located in the South Pacific and consists of 320 islands. Fiji is a small multicultural country in the Pacific. We have less than 1 million population and our market economy is based primarily on tourism and agriculture. And for this reason, we as a country were severely affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. The national machinery for gender equality in Fiji is the Ministry of Women, Children and Poverty Alleviation. And some of the policies and plans currently implemented in Fiji are the Gender Action Plan, Women's Plan of Action, CEDAW. When we look at the SDG goal number 5, which is gender equality, and we look at the targets, which is to achieve gender equality to empower all girls and women, and specifically if we look at target 4.5, we at the global level, momentum around grabbing policy, relevant information on unpaid pair and domestic work is evident in this SDG indicator 5.4. So according to the SDG 5.4 indicator, it calls for it to be recognized as well as to be reduced and redistributed. And in many countries, in fact in all countries, women do the bulk of unpaid care work. It is this work that tends to hold back many women and girls from education and opportunities to work. The fact that the countries have agreed to address this is truly a step forward. So like other countries, in Fiji, as most of the unpaid care work done inside the household is done by women and it is underestimated and not properly valued, most workers in the formal caring professions, which is nurses, social workers, teachers, to name a few, are women, and there is the care penalty such as nurses versus engineers. So at our organization, the Fiji Roads Authority, we have less than 10% of women in technical roles. For this reason, there is a need to recognize that gender differences in access to economy opportunities are driven in part of differences in time used resulting from deep-rooted social norms guiding the distribution of responsibility for paid work, care, and housework. So in Fiji, the gender differences in hours spent on unpaid domestic and care work stand at 39 hours for women and 14 hours for men in the age group of 30 to 34. So the labor force participating in Fiji is 76.4% for men and 37.4% for women. So understanding this interplay between paid and unpaid work is the first step to identify the policy levels to change this situation. And the main aim is to build evidence on unpaid care, innovate on interventions, and influence policy and practice on care as part of women's empowerment. So women often perform paid and unpaid activities simultaneously, hence it can be challenging to capture the data. So at the FRA, some of the concerns raised regarding women in road construction is the lack of women employed in road construction, the lack of gender-specific objectives into the project design, the social norms of women involvement in road construction, networking, and decision-making. So when women are not included in road infrastructure projects, the social exclusion of women to voice their concerns on road construction projects. There is less information on road infrastructure pattern usage, which is different for men and women, and how they benefit differently. So women, so suppose there are lack of women representatives to voice their concerns and opinions on road project designs and public engagements, and the gender-specific objectives are not incorporated in these project designs. So women are not able to fully benefit from the project. So the FRA continuously aims to improve the quality of the road infrastructure provided to Fijians and understands that your concerns, the concerns of the women and the vulnerable, will help identify areas of improvement. At the FRA, we work closely with the Ministry of Infrastructure, Transport, Disaster Management, and Meteorological Services. And at the international level, we work with JICA, ADB, and the World Bank. So some of the major challenges, obstacles in gender mainstreaming is addressing social exclusion, whether it arises from gender, education, location, occupation, or a combination of factors, and as well as the lack of women participating and their involvement in decision making. So the control of resource is an important factor to consider, as women are the main labor force in domestic work, and how we can increase the control of lands by women through better involvement in household and community decision making. For example, suppose we are constructing a new road or a bridge and we have to acquire the land. Do women get a fair share of compensation? Do they own the land? So these are important things to consider when it comes to control of resources. So just a quick view on the gender roles and responsibilities, how time and poverty and the attitude and perception regarding gender roles and responsibilities are incorporated. So when we look at the average time women and girls spend in unpaid work for each day, so this differs from men to women. There are so many questions related to why and how we can help resolve these challenges or achieve equality, but there are so many other attitudes and perception regarding gender roles and responsibilities that we need to cater for. For example, the percentage of women girls with equitable attitude and perceptions regarding gender roles and responsibilities, and the percentage of men and boys with equitable attitude and perceptions regarding gender roles and responsibilities in terms of their domestic roles and responsibilities, in terms of paid and unpaid productive work, and in terms of domestic roles and responsibilities, and as well as at community levels and the responsibilities. So this is for women and girls and men and boys, and how we can help understand and achieve this gender target 5.4. So some of the challenges regarding gender mainstreaming is the social norms of women's involvement in road construction, networking, and decision making is that currently there are lack of women employed in road construction, as mentioned earlier, as well as the lack of gender specific objectives into the project design, and as well as the FRA needs to develop gender-specific strategies to maximize these benefits for underprivileged women and address the impacts on their lives and livelihoods. So for this, we have a gender action plan, which we are working with the ADB and the World Bank. So when it comes to household decision making, as well as public, community, and the level of participation involving women and men is quite different. So the percentage of women and girls with adequate decision making, or the level of decision making involvement regarding the allocation of resources or regarding decisions such as marriage, sex, negotiation, family planning, as well as community activities, and the utilization of resources and services is very different compared to the males and the females. So slowly we have seen changes, positive changes, and this is not an overnight thing, so we have to keep pushing for gender equality at all levels. Some of the specific targets that we can implement to help fight these challenges are implementing policies that is gender inclusive, propose a line ministry to put in place a legal framework that will help promote participation of women in road construction projects, and we can also engage and employ more women in road projects. And the main thing for us at the FRA is to formulate a gender action plan in which we can empower and enable women through consultation, participation, and decision making, and achieve high exposure for women in gender mainstreaming processes. So when we look at addressing the policy issue, one way to address the care work related issues could be looking at the matter through these three interconnected dimensions. So one is recognition, the other is reduction, and the third is the redistribution of roles. So we'll briefly speak about each of these dimensions and how they are interconnected. So when we speak about recognition, activities such as cooking, cleaning, collecting water and fuel, taking care of the children, the elderly, the sick needs to be recognized. A more concerted effort is needed to make such work visible through the use of time allocation, survey, and improved measurement tools. If unpaid work is not visible to policymakers and planners, it will not be subject to attention or investment, and this is a very important point. So when we look at reduction, it is reducing the unpaid care work. So even if the time burdens of all unpaid care work tasks are not easily to reduce, many tasks can be more efficiently reduced in the short term. Investments in infrastructure and labor-saving technologies that are focused on household-level care tasks, fuel-saving stoves, meals, wells, pipe water, etc., could be effective in reducing the time women and girls spend on unpaid care work. So this has to be taken into consideration. So when we look at the redistribution of powers, how can we put additional efforts into the gender equitable redistribution of labor, roles, and responsibilities between men and women and reduce this burden for women? So investing simultaneously in women and girls themselves, family, community, and the institutional environment in order to bring equally changes in the condition and position of women and girls, where they become critical stakeholders and agents of change, and engage them at family, community, and national levels. If you look at the countermeasures for these, we can develop gender-specific strategies to maximize the benefits for underprivileged women and address the impacts on their lives and livelihoods. We can also take actions to empower and involve women through consultation, participation, and decision-making, and achieve high inclusion in gender mainstreaming processes. Help identify and design gender-specific designs which are responsive to both women's and men's different priorities, needs, and patterns of usage of the infrastructure. So this conference is a golden opportunity to strengthen gender equality and how we can help women traditional roles shift, which create opportunities to change relations and dynamics, and most importantly, learn from each other. To conclude, like other countries in Fiji as well, most of the unpaid care work done inside the household is done by women, and it is either underestimated or not properly valued. So at our organization, the Fiji Roads Authority, we have less than 10% of women in technical roles. For this reason, there's a need to recognize the gender differences that still exist till date and fight the deep-rooted social norms in order to achieve the target 5.4 through distribution of responsibility for paid work, care, and housework. Thank you so much, Vinaka. Arigatou gozaimasu.